the NBA schedule reveal, which took place Thursday afternoon. I got to say, Rachel, I love the NFL schedule reveal, especially now that they're doing some of these gimmicky things like Minecraft and interviewing men on the streets and things like that. The NBA schedule reveal is a lot more anticlimactic. It's dropped in the middle of the afternoon, and all the NBA really cares about is that you know where to find their games this season. And I wanted to ask you about that first before we get into specific games. One of the things I got from people in the league office and was asked to share is that graphic that shows where people can find NBA games this season, because it is more elaborate than it's ever been in years past. You've got a couple of broadcast networks, a couple of streaming services, cable TV, all owning or partially owning different days of the week when it comes to the national schedule. So it's different, that's for sure. The NBA certainly believes long-term it's going to be good for the game. Short-term, it's great for their pockets. But what do you think the react's going to be from the fan base to see, if they want to watch their favorite teams? They have to be subscribers to a lot of different things.
First of all, I do want to say that they did unveil some of the schedule this morning on Good Morning America and the Today Show. So, I got a little bit of a national TV morning charge. But yeah.
Come on, I love the Tennessee Titans man on the street stuff. I like that when they ask the weird dudes what to name the helmets.
Is it, the Titans maybe, who do the sort of the...
That was awesome.
What is this logo? And people's answers are phenomenal. That is really great every year. But yeah, I mean, look, I think this is going to be a problem, and I think it will settle out. Obviously, people who really like basketball will get used to, this is on this night and this is on this night, and this national Sunday night game NBC will introduce after football season is over is a really cool idea, and I think will feel cool. But the problem is, no matter how many little graphics we put up, and the fact that they are going to have on NBA.com every night, sort of, here's where to find these games, and I think they're going to build it into some of the other digital stuff they're doing. Most people just sit down on their couch and click their remote and want to know where the game is. And if you put in your little search bar, which most of us now do, either it's either DirecTV or YouTube or whatever you're using, Apple TV, you type in your team's name, and frankly, 6 games show up usually. And one of them is the replay, and one of them was from yesterday, and one of them is in 3 weeks from now. And it's just harder to find than it was when you just sat down on the couch and clicked on, the channel. And I just think that is something they're going to have to deal with. Not only that it's harder to find, but, people have really hit their limit on how many streaming services they want to pay for. And I know people who are like, well, I'll pay for Amazon, but I'm not paying for Peacock, right?
That's the one. See, just that's the one I think it's going to get the most interesting. I think everybody on Earth has Amazon, some degree, at some level of Amazon, right? You're always ordering packages off Amazon. Yeah. So you have Amazon. Certainly NBC is great. ABC is great. Most people still have ESPN in some capacity. The Peacock one's going to be interesting. The Peacock is not a widely distributed, at least not on the scale of some of these other apps. And I am curious to see what the reaction is to people that have to subscribe to Peacock to get certain national games. Now, Peacock and NBC paid a fortune, $2.5 billion, whatever the number was ultimately. So they can do whatever they want with those rights. But I think that's going to be where it gets interesting early in the season. Like, how many people are signing up? How many people are staying? What's the reaction going to be? Certainly people shouldn't check Twitter, because Twitter is not a good place to get real feedback from stuff like that. But I think that's the one. Like, ESPN is still going to be ESPN. It's great to have basketball back on 2 broadcast networks. It's only going to help grow the game. Amazon, again, I think people just have to. I mean, if you look at the numbers,
yes, they have a huge presence, but it's not as many as, broadcast networks.
Yeah.
And, ESPN even is, increasingly moving to streaming. I think they're going to have this ESPN only package that you can get on your streaming service that, just on your TV or whatever, because so many people have moved away from cable. Their cable numbers have just plummeted over and over again. And not just them, like every cable channel. And they're moving over to streaming, which is great because I think a lot of people will subscribe to it. But it's also just going to be another box on your screen. And it's funny, the head of TNT, when I worked at TNT, David Levy, I remember when he first hired me, and this was, I don't know, I'm going to say like 2012 maybe. So it was definitely still the beginning of a lot of social media. It hadn't really taken hold yet. And yes, in theory, you could watch YouTube on your TV, but only if you had like a hookup to do it and all of that. And he told me right then, he said, look, it's about 9 boxes. He goes, the future of television in 10 years will be 9 boxes. A screen can like comfortably hold 9 boxes on your TV, on your phone, or on your TV screen. He's like, and you're going to compete with like movie channels and sports channels and this and that. I think it's probably 12 with the way screens have evolved, but it's a good point. And it may be that Peacock or even maybe ESPN or some of these things that you have to stream might not be in your home screen of boxes. And that's going to be an interesting thing to watch also. We'll just have to see.
Yeah. All right. There are some must-watch games that wherever they're going to be, Peacock, Amazon, all that. A lot of must-watch games on the calendar. So I want to run through the top 3 must-watch games in the regular season that you and I both have. So why don't you start? Give me the number 1 game that you're looking forward to this season.
Well, I actually think the opening night slate is perfect. I mean, it's pretty remarkable what they did there. And so, the idea of the Rockets facing the Thunder is great without the Kevin Durant factor, right? Because these are teams that are been projected. Maybe this will be the Western Conference Finals, and Houston is kind of being built in OKC's image and all of that stuff. So then you add in the Kevin Durant factor. He's going to be sitting there watching them get their rings, raising their banner. And because it's KD, he's added a little spice to the conversation. People have been going at him on Twitter about, oh, isn't he be so sad to be sitting there? And he goes back, and I believe his tweet was, oh, it's been about time. It's been 10 years, that they won one. So he's, as usual, Kevin's not afraid to mix it up. So I think that's just going to be spicier and more fun. I don't know. What do you think of that game? Is that on your list?
Yeah, that was number 2 on my list. Look, I do think they're the 2 best teams in the Western Conference. I do think that Kevin Durant is the round peg, round hole type of fit that Houston badly needs. I know the Rockets really believe that. You add a scorer like that to the defensive-minded, versatile lineup that Houston has with the toughness that Ime Udoka has imbued in that team, like they're going to be good. And I love, like it's like I'd love to get the schedule makers on like some sodium penthol there and just kind of get into what exactly was it just as simple as these are the top 2 teams in the West, or did you carve this thing out once you knew Kevin Durant was going to be there? I'd be very curious to see what the answer to that question may be. But I think it's the kind of game where Kevin Durant's going to sit there, he's going to smile, and then he's going to get 50. He's going to get 50 in that game and go off and tap his chest and show exactly why Oklahoma or that Houston was willing to commit the type of assets they were willing to commit to go and get. So I love that game, no question about it. The number 1 game though on my list also involves Oklahoma City. It's about a month later, a little over a month later. The Lakers against the Thunder. The first matchup between Oklahoma City and Los Angeles is in Oklahoma City on November 12th, nationally televised as well, like most Lakers games against good teams ultimately are. The Lakers, they're interesting in their own right for no other reason, but I go back to the end of the last regular season where the Lakers went into Oklahoma City on the rare road back-to-back, and they won that first game against the Thunder. And then they almost win the second game. Probably would have if Luka Doncic wasn't tossed for the wrong reason.
Yes.
They like that. Those were the days, Rachel, where we started to believe in the Lakers. Like they were winning some games up to that point, but the fact they beat the Thunder once and almost beat them twice, that made me believe that the Lakers could be a legit contender in the Western Conference. I'm curious to see if this revamped group can go into Oklahoma City and do the same things. Obviously, Luka has been beating up on the Thunder for many years now. He's been very good against that team, whether it's in Dallas or in Los Angeles. But that to me is going to be the first real test for where this Lakers team is, because we know how important this season is. It could be LeBron's last season with Los Angeles. So I think that to me stands out as the best game, top game on my list.
And look, I mean, you alluded to it, but you think you maybe underplayed it. Luka has torched the Thunder. Overall,
I was being nice.
Had his way with the Thunder. When he doesn't have, dozens and dozens of points, it's probably because he just decided not to. I mean, he has done 40-point games, I think. He's done all kinds of stuff against them. And they just have never seemed to figure out how to stop him. So they have won a title. Their defense only got better and better throughout the season. They had historic numbers, all of that. If they still can't stop Luka, in that game you're talking about and can't stop him consistently in other matchups over the season, then whether they get to defend their title becomes a question of the bracket. And that may be true in the West overall. I mean, matchups in the West are going to be a huge part of who advances in the playoffs. But that is something I'm looking for in terms of less about what will it tell us about the Lakers, because I think the Lakers are going to just continue to be a work in progress through the season. That's normally how it goes with them. I want to see if the Thunder can contain Luka. And if they can't, I think that tells me something about the Thunder.
Yeah, and maybe it is unfair to judge the Lakers in a game that early. They've got to work Ayton in, they've got to work not Bradley Beal. They've got to work the other guys they have into their lineup. But to me, you're right. If Luka continues to own the Thunder, who in the last regular season were the best defensive team in basketball, which on paper has the horses to defend him in terms of perimeter help, that would be that'll make things more interesting, spicier as this season progresses. All right, give me the number 2 game that is on your list.
Well, I stuck a little bit to the highlight games, and after we do this, I really want to dig in and talk to you about Christmas because I had a lot of thoughts about the Christmas day slate.
Okay.
But, just looking at the first half of the schedule, mainly because I just think so much changes as you go through the year. I think that the other game on opening night is interesting to me because I just think that, look, they were going to put LeBron and Steph against each other because it's just about the TV ratings. But now you've got Luka, now you've got Jimmy Butler. I think it will be a very good basketball game. So I was excited about that. And then maybe kind of tied in that area is going to be the February 1st games, which is going to be the opening night for Sunday night basketball national game on NBC. And I wrote this down. So they've got Lakers at Knicks, which I think is going to be great, and Nuggets at Thunder, which I think is going to be fantastic for a lot of the reasons we just talked about. So I just think those 3 games to me are of equal intrigue and importance for kind of all the same reasons, right? All 3 of those games figured huge contingents of stars on both sides of the court going at it in big arenas with big, exciting crowds. So all 3 of those kind of have a place for me as kind of equivalently games I'm very excited about. My third one, if you'll allow me, is lesser of that kind of game, but I just thought it was interesting. I always love when Trae Young is in the Garden, and that's going to happen, I think, opening week also, or maybe week 2.
That's a pretty good one as well. And Atlanta's an interesting team this year. I mean, this is the year that Trae Young is going to get an opportunity to lead a really good team deep into the playoffs. Like, things are lined up for Atlanta to be really good. And look, if things don't go well for Atlanta, they might blow it up after this year. They might trade Trae, let some of these contracts come off the books, and just reboot this thing around a different group of or a younger group of players. So this is a huge year for Trae Young and for that team. The last game on my list is actually 2 games. It's a back-to-back in January. And I got to tell you, NBA, I am disappointed that you put these 2 games in January. These 2 games should have been much earlier in the season. And I'm talking about back-to-back, home and home, Eastern Conference matchup between the Orlando Magic and the Cleveland Cavaliers. Like, I wanted to see these 2 teams go at it early, because I think there's a decent chance, Rachel, we're talking about the Magic and the Cavs jockeying for the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference. Now, Cleveland, we know, they're running this whole thing back right now. They were a great regular season team. There's no reason to believe they won't be a great regular season team again. But the Orlando Magic are built to win. That is a team that already had an elite defense, adds a Desmond Bane type player, or Desmond Bane, to this mix to shore up their offensive woes. I think if Paolo Banchero can avoid getting hurt in the first couple of weeks of the regular season like he did last year, he's going to have an all-NBA season. I think Franz Wagner is capable of having a fringy all-NBA season. Wendell Carter is a good man in the middle. Like, this is a team that I think people are sleeping on when you're talking about contenders to win the Eastern Conference. You got the Cavs, you got the Knicks, the Hawks, maybe the Bucks even people are talking about. I think the Orlando Magic are going to be really good. They were the play-in team last year, back half of the bracket. They're going to be way better this year, way better. I think we're going to learn a lot about where they are in mid-January when they take on the Cavaliers twice.
Look, I think those are going to be great games, and they will be very telling games for people sort of trying to analyze as we head toward the playoffs. But you have to remember a few things. Orlando, up until this point, has not been that fun to watch offensively. That could change this year. But, I mean, they have had some tragic numbers at the end of games in that core. So when you're looking to put on big TV nights where you just really need to draw an audience, I don't think the schedule makers felt they could trust them yet to be entertaining. But in terms of competition, they actually backload those kinds of games on purpose on the second part of the schedule, because there is just a huge difference, whether you like it or not, about how many people pay attention to the NBA during football season and after football season is ended. So sometimes when you see like that whole series of matchups or between two teams, I think there was a couple notable ones this past season too, that's backloaded for a reason. They want to get people's eyeballs on the intrigue of that when more people are paying attention. I don't know.
Yeah,
but it's going to be great.
I can understand that. I think, I can understand that. I think when we get to mid-January, we're going to see the Magic and the Cavs at or near the top of the Eastern Conference standings. And I think that Orlando's offense is going to be a hell of a lot better than they were last year. I don't think their defense is going to take a step back. And I think they're going to come together relatively quickly. I think Desmond Bane is exactly what they need, a shot-creating backcourt player who can make threes. I think that's just a great fit for them overall. All right, couple of ownership notes.
Wait, can we just talk Christmas for 1 minute?
Oh, you want to do Christmas on this show? I thought you were saying you want to do it on a different show. I got you.
I mean, we could do it near Christmas.
No, have at it.
I'd rather do it now.
Have at it.
Did you have first of all, on on Christmas Day, 8 of the 10 teams playing on Christmas Day are Western Conference. 2 are Eastern Conference. They play each other. On opening night, it's all Western Conference. What did you, as a man who is currently sitting in Boston, think of that overall? And if you were going to put one more Eastern Conference team, I mean, they're obviously the JV to the West Varsity. We've been talking about that for months. But if you were going to try to put one more Eastern Conference team in that mix of 10, who would it be?
I mean, I probably would have rolled the dice and put a Magic Cavs game there, or put a Cavs Bucks, Cavs Hawks.
We're going to have a big star for Christmas Day.
Yeah, I know. And look at the teams that are playing. The Spurs, they've got Wemby. The Rockets, Lakers, Mavericks, Warriors, Timberwolves. Yeah, they're star-laden teams. I don't fault the NBA at all for putting this together. It's no surprise to me whatsoever, the emphasis on the Western Conference. The Western Conference is where the talent is this season. I know the East would probably hate the JV label, but that's kind of what they are. At this point. So I don't know. I mean, the basketball purist in me would have loved to have seen a Cavs Magic rock fight, or, Atlanta against Milwaukee, or something, some variation of that, but I can't fault the league.